In this demonstration, we'll take a look at how SQL injection attacks are performed against web applications. So I have a website here in front of us. It's just a little fake website I have set up for training purposes. And you can see here that the website is asking us to log in with a username and password. And just to kind of put this to the test, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and log in with my user account of B. Smith with the wrong password. When I try to log on, you can see here that the code is executing properly. It's saying that the username and password hasn't been found, so please try again. So I'm going to hit the back button and show you what it looks like if I do type in the correct username and password. So you can see that I'm logged into the site. It's asked me for the credit card number. So, realistically, the production site would allow the user to then choose products and then as they check out, ask for the credit card number. But just wanted to create a quick little simple example. So I'm going to go back here and talk about SQL injection attacks. So a SQL injection attack is the idea that when I type in a username into this text box and then I type in the password and I hit this logon button, what happens is that sends the information that was typed into the web page up to a database where a query is executed and the SQL statement, which is a kind of a language used to query databases, is executed to determine if the username that I typed and password that I typed is correct, right? If it's valid, I get into the site. If it's not valid, then I don't get into the site. So a typical select statement, or the typical statement that is floating in behind that button is something like this. So when I hit the button, the logon button, underneath the scenes, the application does a select star from, usually there's a table in the database called users, right? So select star from users where, the logon name equals whatever I type into the text box. So I'll put B. Smith here for now. And the password equals whatever I type into the password box, let's say. So this is what the code looks like that's floating in behind that logon button. Now keep in mind, you can't see this as a visitor to a site. We don't see this, but hackers know. They're very smart in the sense that they understand the underlying technologies, and they know that developers have this kind of statement floating in behind the scenes. So when I hit the logon button, the select means go find, and star means bring back all of the columns of data. So select star from users is the name of the table, where the logon name is the name of the field. So it's checking to see if there's a column called logon name equals whatever we type into the first text box, so B. Smith. Now, something that's very critical here is I want you to notice that whatever I type into the text box, in this case B. Smith, it's placed inside of single quotes. Now again, you can't see that, but hackers understand the way the applications are written, and they know that has to be done. And then after the close single quote, then we have an AND statement over here, and then we check the next column of information. And the password has to equal whatever they typed into the password box. And I'll pretend I typed the word pass. Now notice that the word pass is again inside of single quotes. So whatever you type into the password box goes inside of single quotes here. So the way a SQL injection attack works, I'll get right to the punch here. The way the SQL injection attack works is that the hackers try to bypass your logon screen by manipulating the SQL code. They understand the SQL code. So in the password box, what the hacker wants to do is they want to do an OR statement. So they want to say, okay, I'll give you a password. I don't know what the password is, but I'll type in any password. But then I'll put an OR statement, and I'll do a 1 equals 1. Now, the OR statement is different than an AND statement. When a select statement executes, If there's an and statement used or an and keyword, then it means both conditions have to be met in order for the person to continue into the site. So that means that the logon name has to be bsmith and the password has to be pass. But if we were to use an or statement instead of an and statement, it means that either condition could be found true. So you could either know the username or you can know the password. Now, that's not realistic for logging on to an application, so that's why developers use an and statement. But what the hacker's trying to do with the SQL injection attack is in the password box, they're typing any kind of password, they don't care what they type, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to put an or statement into the password box here to cause a condition to be found true. And the best way to cause a condition to be found true is to say, or 1 equals 1. Does 1 equal 1? Yes, it does. Great, will lead me into the site. So this is what they're going to type into the password box. Now that doesn't technically work, and the reason being is, if I was to copy that, so if we were to type that into the password box, that would actually get placed inside the quotes here. So it would actually look for a password of pass1 or 1 equals 1. What the hacker needs is they need this or statement to be outside of this close quote. They need it to be over here on the right hand side. So how they do that, and this is a very important example because it shows you what injection means. Injection means the hacker manipulates the application by saying, okay, I'll go back to my password box. If I was to type pass1 semicolon, or sorry, apostrophe, or 1 equals 1, what the hacker is doing is they're closing off the quote. Watch this. So if I was to copy this, so again, they would be typing this in the password box up here. I can't put it in the password box because you wouldn't be able to see what I'm typing. So I'm going to use Notepad instead. But this is what this would do if it was typed into the password box. So you can see here it's going to look for a logon name of bsmith and a password of and pass1. But then notice that because the hacker put the single quote inside of the password box, he's closing the quote off, which is the test of the password, and now we have an or statement. And the test of 1 equals 1 is going to be performed. Does 1 equals 1? Yes, it does. So it'll let us into the site. And not quite yet, though. There is one more problem the hacker has to overcome, and that is the fact that if the hacker closes the quote, then there is a quote over on the end. That's a mismatched quote. It has no closing. So what the hacker can do is he can go back to the password box and he can throw in a dash dash. And a dash dash is a way of commenting out remaining code. It tells the application to ignore anything after this. So if the hacker was to do this, let me copy that and again put it inside the quotes. This is what the end result would be. So it's and password equals pass1 or 1 equals 1 dash dash, ignore everything else. So this would be successful in logging me in. So I'm going to copy that. And what I want you to see here is I don't have a username Jeff, right? I don't know what to type for a password because it doesn't have. So notice that username and password doesn't exist. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to paste in that SQL injection attack that we took from Notepad and then hit login. And notice that although there's no Jeff account, I am able to access the application. So that's an example of inserting SQL code into a password box. Now it can get worse than that. Watch this. Let me just show you my database for a second. So this is what the database looks like. And if I go and show you the records. So these are my usernames. So there's a B Smith with a password. There's a T Smith with a password. Keep in mind, I just created a quick little database here. It is not a good practice to store passwords in plain text within a database, right? So that's a huge no-no. But I just wanted you to be able to see the values. Notice that there is no Jeff username, but I was still able to log into the site, and it's because the SQL injection attack was successful. Now I also want you to notice here, so I do have a users table, right? That's very important for you to notice. And I also want you to notice that I do have a products table because I want to show you 2 more examples of SQL injection. And the next example I want to show you is the products table. Notice that the products you know, the price of the products are $24, $455. What I want to do is I want to change that price $1. So I'm going to change the price through the web application of all the products to $1. So we'll come back and check that in a minute. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the users table, right? So again, all through SQL injection attack. So let me go back to our website, and I'm going to bring up our notepad. I did kind of already type in some code. And we're just going to set that to 1. So the first example is we've already seen. That's how I can bypass the logon screen. Now the next example, again, notice that's not the password. I just, you know, you type whatever you want there and then close off the quote, or 1 equals 1. Now what I want to do here is a semicolon is used in SQL as a language to specify 2 commands on a single line. So this will end the select statement, which allows me to log on, but then what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the products table and set the price of every product to $1. That's what that next command is going to do. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to copy that. And then again, I'll use my account called Jeff, which doesn't exist. And you can see I got in, but let's go see if the products have been updated. So you can see now all the products are $1. So you can see that this could be a disaster. You know, if I was a large organization selling products online and somebody could successfully do a SQL injection attack and alter the price of my products online, that's a huge problem. So yeah, so that's done. And notice that we also have a users table there. So what I want to do is show you how we can get rid of that users table. So same kind of idea is that I am doing the fake password, right, with a semicolon to end that command, and then to perform our next command, we can delete a table with the drop table command, so drop table users. So this is essentially how the hacker could do a denial of service attack, let's say, against the website. So again, I'll use Jeff, paste in our command, and then let's go check that database. If I refresh this list of tables, notice that the users table is now gone, so nobody can log on to that site now, right? Essentially becoming a denial of service attack. So in this demonstration, you saw how to perform SQL injection attacks through a web application.